the Association for Jewish Aging Services. And what an honor to fill in and guest host from my friend and colleague, Steve Moran on Foresight TV, while Steve gets a little R&R time. I am joined by two members of our association, Berman and Betsy Mullen. Barry is the CEO and Betsy is the COO of the Leonard Florence Center for Living. And we're going to have a great chat about Leonard Florence and about some workforce benefits and issues and concerns. But first, let's roll the intro.
Hey guys, Steve Moran here.
Okay, I feel like we're with Steve in spirit now. So Barry and Betsy, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Ruth, for having us.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So I, of course, everywhere I go, I'm telling people about Leonard Florence and how awesome it is. And many people have heard of that, the unique thing you're doing there in Chelsea, right outside of Boston. But for the folks that are tuning in and hearing about you for the first time, could you guys give us just the Cliff Notes version of what is Leonard Florence? What happens there?
So Leonard Florence Center for Living is the nation's first urban model greenhouse. We're a member of the Greenhouse Project. We did not have a lot of land. In fact, we had no land. And we believe very much in the concept. So we became the nation's first urban model greenhouse that we would stack the homes on top of each other. So the Leonard Florence Center for Living is 100 beds. It is 10 greenhouses. Each greenhouse is about 7,200 square feet. And it's worked beautifully for us through the years. And we're going on to our 17th year of operations.
It is important, that greenhouse choice. Why did you choose that?
So we choose greenhouse because I've been fortunate to be the CEO of this organization going on 50 years. With my first job out of graduate school. And it really took me until my own mother was admitted to my own nursing home after she needed to come in for some short-term rehab for me to take the real hard look at what my own traditional nursing home was doing to my own mother. And it's at that point I realized that there has to be a better way or a different way to care for folks in nursing homes. Most of the nursing homes try their best to do a great job, but I felt that we could do something even greater and a little different. And that's how we decided to build the Leonard Florence Center for Living, the nation's first urban greenhouse.
I love that. When it comes from your heart like that, and I hear that so often from providers, it was something that I observed with my family member, as you talk about your mom. It's kind of when you think about work-life balance, it's all connected, right? We're kind of doing our work all the time. So there is something unique and special about Leonard Florence. You want to share a little bit about that?
Sure, I'm happy to. So as Barry mentioned, we have 10 greenhouse homes at the Leonard Florence Center for Living. And as Barry said, this was a very special environment. And as we were beginning to build the building, we realized how unique and very special and meaningful each of these homes could be to those that lived in them. Each home, as he said, is 10 private rooms with a community living, dining room, and kitchen space. So what happens in one greenhouse is completely independent of what happens in other greenhouse homes. Knowing how special they were going to be, we wanted to look at the populations that we felt might not be best served in traditional settings. And that brought us to look at the population of people living with MS And we have a home here at Leonard Florence Center for those living with MS. And it also got us to look at a population of people living with ALS. Now, fortunately for Barry and I, we had no personal contact with it. I had been involved with it in my nursing school world, but we decided that that was also a population that had needs that weren't always met in the best way possible in traditional environments. And so we opened up 2 homes for people living with ALS. And at that time had some short-term rehab homes and had some senior homes. And over time, believe it or not, we've morphed into this building where we have the most people living with ALS under one roof. We now have 5 homes dedicated to people living with ALS, MS, and people living on ventilators. So it is truly, as you said, Ruth, a very unique and caring environment for those here.
Wow. And there are not too many places in the country or even in the world that have this ALS specialization. Is that accurate?
Unfortunately, there's no place. We are the only one that is offering this. And that's why we've had people from China and Australia and all over the country come by to see what we're doing. And we're trying very hard to replicate it. The challenge that we have in replicating it is that just about everyone living here on a ventilator or with ALS is on Medicaid. And when you start having the highest acuity of care with sort of the lowest form of reimbursement, it's challenging. And that's why of the hundreds of organizations that have come through here, they're very interested, they have the right mission, but it's not easy to make it work financially.
You know, I asked you once about that, Barry, and you said something like, well, I went to the state and I talked to them about the population, and you were able to make a little bit of headway with Massachusetts Medicaid.
Massachusetts has been very good to us. They've been very fair. They know that we're doing a great job as a nonprofit. But even, an enhanced Medicaid rate is still an enhanced Medicaid rate. And the services that we offer, which we can talk a little bit about, it's just totally off anyone's chart of how it could be done without some philanthropy.
Yeah. Or a lot of philanthropy.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do just a quick minute on the type, because you have to see it to understand what goes on there and the technology, but walk us through maybe a quick story of a resident.
Sure. I think the unique thing for people who come to visit us are amazed at the level of independence that people have living here. People think nursing home, they think dependency. So we have a resident who, when you come to visit us here, he would do the tour rather than us. Because once Mike is up in his wheelchair, it almost becomes his command center. He has a monitor attached to his computer, and with that monitor, he can call for help if he needs it. He can communicate with people in the outside world, use the computer. But that computer setup also allows him, with the PEAC program, PEAC, the computer infrastructure that we have here in the building, allows him independence within his room, within this house, and within our building. And so with his computer in his room, he turns the lights on, anything with a switch, control the heat, control the shades, control the TV, independently. Doesn't have to put the call light on for any of that. He can open and close the door to his room. He can go out into the community space of his home. He can control things there. He actually can go out of his house and with his computer, call for the elevator, get on and off the elevator by himself independently, and you'll see him moving around the building freely. And he is one of many here who do that. Some people may use sip and puff type of structures to mobilize themselves. Others have hand controls. Whatever that person needs, they've been assessed for it, they have it, and truly they have independence moving throughout the building with that infrastructure of PEAC and with the computer set up and the power wheelchair mobility that they have. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, and longer lives too than originally expected. which is also incredible.
We have pals living here for over 16
Over
years.
16 years.
And never been in the hospital. No bed sores. And I'm not sugarcoating it. Living with ALS is not easy.
Yeah.
But what we focus on, so much of ALS is people just keep focusing on what they can no longer do. And we have to keep focusing on what can we still do. And we just flip it upside down. And it's amazing because what you can do with enough staff and with enough support, you can be back in the game. You can go to your children's graduations. You can go to your children's weddings. You can go to your kids' ball games, even on a ventilator. Your life doesn't have to stop. I'm not making it easy. It's not an easy life. But we just have to keep focusing on what do you have left, what can you do, and help people to just live the most meaningful lives possible.
And you serve a younger population too, as a result. So some of those things you were going to your kids' graduation. I know when I was there one time, you were talking about going to a rock concert that starts at, 10 o'clock or midnight or something.
Right.
Sometimes that I don't go to concerts at anymore, but a really late time. And let's pivot then and talk about staff, because it is not your typical nursing home job, is it, for a frontline staff person?
It's not, and I'm going to let Betsy talk pretty much about the staff, but I can tell you that our philosophy, and this is going back for 50 years, and we really mean it. It's not something we just put onto a brochure. In order for us to be successful in all of our properties, we really have to care for, respect, and love our staff as much as we love and respect and care for our residents. Yeah. It cannot be twofold. It has to be the same, because without, as Betsy and I are sitting here doing this nice interview with you, there's people upstairs, there's people next door providing the care. And without the consistent caregivers, without low turnover, none of this would be possible. None of this. And I'll let Betsy talk a little bit more in detail about the staff and the ratios.
Right.
Yeah.
As Barry said, it's a really special environment, and it takes a certain person to work here. I think if you were to talk to people across the nation who run greenhouse homes, the greenhouse home model is not for every caregiver. Some people become institutionalized themselves, and they prefer that structure and that regimented focus that people use nicely in traditional nursing homes, and it works for them. Here, we call it being adjusting to the rhythm of the day. Everybody's rhythm of the day is different. All three of us here have a different rhythm of the day. And staff working in the greenhouse need to be attuned to that and be adaptable. And the model calls for someone not just being a CNA and not doing other kinds of jobs. We call them shabazim. Our shabazim cook breakfast in the morning. They prepare snacks and meals for the people here. They help with laundry. They provide care. And as Barry said, it's very important to us. We need to take care of them and nurture them and set the example for them as we want them to care for the residents. And I just mentioned to Barry before we went on the interview, I left the front lobby of the building with about 7 or 8 people on their way to see a play. It sounded quite exciting to me. As we stay behind, they're off their way to the North Shore Music Circus today to see a play. And that's what life's all about here. And when we talk about workforce, they are our most valuable asset, I have to tell you. So much of what we do here it happens because of the people that are here. They are willing and able to go on these trips with people. They might have worked the morning and they're gone this afternoon with residents out to an outing. If we didn't have that consistency of staff and the caring and competent staff that we have, these things would not happen in our building on a regular basis. If you think about it, it's an environment where we very much individualize care, and you must have consistent staff to know what that's like each and every day. And as Barry shared, Turnover in traditional homes can be as high as 50 and 75%. Fortunately for us, we are way less than 20%. And part of that, Ruth, is people that we help to see this isn't the right environment for them. If we know that somebody's struggling in this type of environment, we have other places that they could work perhaps, and we'll encourage them to do that. So again, we keep staff that is consistent and that we know want to work in this environment, because it's not just one job. You have many jobs to do in the course of a day. We work hard, again, meeting their needs, and we can talk a little bit about the programs that we have and with another question or two, but we care about them as much as we do the residents each and every day. And I think we're visible to the staff upstairs. We know them, they know us, and that's the type of environment and culture that we want to promote.
Yeah, you guys are very present. And well, I'm sorry that you're missing the play, but thank you for staying back to spend with us. But this is really hard work. Is it hard to find staff? Do you often have holes in your staffing? What do you do then?
We're very fortunate. A lot of staff self-refer other people, because again, you'd rather work with somebody that you knew and that would provide you with the teamwork approach that you want. And so we do get a lot of referrals that way. We are a site for CNA programs and for nursing programs. It's a unique experience for them to be in our environment, and many of them have come to work with us after going through some of the programs and having experiences in our building.
I think what's also helped is that, my wife is a nurse, and she worked as a nurse's aide before she became a nurse. I worked as an orderly in hospitals before I went into college and graduate school. Betsy's a nurse, but she worked as a nurse's aide before she became a nurse. We know how hard their job is. I mean, my back will never be the same from the lifting that I did years ago. And we know how difficult it is. And so we have such total respect for the frontline workers, because their jobs are not easy. And, we know that people come into work, they have family situations that are less than favorable sometimes. They have issues with marriages, they have issues with kids, they have issues with money. And then we expect nurses' aides to come in and become social workers and do everything 100%. And that's not how life is. So we have to give them a lot of support, which we do, and a lot of benefits, which we do. And the way we can afford those benefits is by having very low turnover, because turnover is very, very, not only disruptive, it's very expensive.
So let's talk about let's drill down on some of those benefits, because people talk about wages and benefits, right? And given that you're 100% Medicaid, wages are going to be tough, right? And you're going to be limited. You go as high as you can, but there are going to be limits. What do some of these benefits look like? I love that you guys both were just stressing, we take care of our staff, they take care of each other. It's Barry used the word love. You said we love our staff. We treat our staff the way we treat our residents. I love that. But so what are some of these benefits?
Well, tell the story about cereal, how the store came to be.
So we have a company store. Now, it's not really a store because there's no money exchange. It's all free. And one day when my kids were coming home from college, my wife called and said, stop on the way home. My kids love cereal. They still love cereal. And she said, get 4 or 5 boxes of their favorite cereals. And I went to check out, and the bill was like $40, $50. And I thought the cashier made a mistake because I didn't have any meat or anything. And I went home and I said to my wife, how does the staff afford to feed their families? This is awful. And we investigated working with the Greater Boston Food Bank, and we set up a food bank that's open to the community and to our staff on our campus. In fact, each one of our properties has a grocery store, and we provide the staff for it. We bought 2 trucks. We have 3 or 4 employees, and our employee, it's open every Friday from 7 a.m. so the night shift can use it till 6 p.m. And the average employee can walk away with about $180 a week worth of free groceries, including meat and cheese and eggs and chicken. And I mean, when you're getting the salary of a nursing assistant or a housekeeper or a laundry worker, and now you can get $180 a week of free food, and none of the food is outdated. The philosophy is, and the staff knows, anything that's on the shelf of that store, I would use myself. There's no dented cans. Now the date might be close. So in other words, let's say, for example, there's eggs, and the date is expiring in 2 weeks, and that's why we can get cases and cases of eggs. That's how it's done. But nothing is spoiled, nothing is expired. It's done with dignity. It looks like a real grocery store. It doesn't look like a food bank that someone is going to get charity. And it has worked beautifully for us.
And if I could add, the important thing about that, as we see it too, Ruth, is that you're not just taking care of the individual employee, you're taking care of their family. And I think they see it that way too. Families go shopping there together. The children come. We have little treats for kids to have as well. When it's time to go back to school, we'll have products for them, notebooks, pencils, things like that for kids to take back to school with them. And so I think that's very meaningful to people when it isn't just the employee you're interested in taking care of and helping, but rather the whole family. And I think soon after we opened, and it's many years ago, but the story has stayed with me for a long time, one woman came up and there were tears in her eyes. And she said to me, "Oh my God, this store is so wonderful. You can't even imagine." And I said, "Well, I'm just so glad it's working for you." And she said, "You know, my daughter is going to be able to take ballet lessons, which she's wanted to take for the last 3 years, because I can afford to pay for them now because I'm getting food here at the food bank in the meantime." And I mean, that just warmed my heart and broke my heart at the same time, thinking, what if we didn't have this for her? But it has stayed with me all these years. Again, you touch people's lives in ways that you may never have imagined.
Yeah, tell the blueberry story. I love the blueberry story.
So one time I was in one of the houses, and one of the residents wanted some blueberries for their oatmeal. So they went to the refrigerator and they got a container of blueberries. And I overheard her say, "My kids love blueberries, but when I was shopping the other day, when I saw the price of a small container of blueberries, I said, no, this isn't a good choice for me. I really can't do this." And that bothered me more than anything, because what a horrible double standard that we have staff serving our residents food that they can't afford to give to their own children, and that bothered us. So now we have fresh blueberries in the store and a lot of fresh fruit, because I don't want them serving our residents a quality that they can't even afford to give to their own families. That didn't sit well with us.
You're giving people time too. You know, I can remember having a kid at home, right? And having to rush home after work and stop at the store on the way home. And if you can just kind of go someplace that's right on campus before you even get to your car and do your shopping, it's not just the financial benefit, but it's also the convenience benefit.
Very convenient.
Very true.
Yeah.
So what I have noticed since you guys came up with this idea is that there are little by little, it's not happening everywhere, but people are starting to see this idea and think, I could do that, or I could do something similar, do something like that. I'm wondering what advice you give when other providers say, no, I'd like to try that. What are the guide rails? What do I have to do? What's it going to cost me?
I think the way we're able to do this, again, is looking at your turnover rates. And we all have so much money through Medicaid, through Medicare, through private pay. And how do you spend that money? And if you're not spending it on constant turnover and training, we also have never used agency help. So even during COVID, we've never had agency help. We've been very fortunate, and that's expensive. So I guess what I would suggest, and we have suggested, is that they contact their, every state has a food bank, their local food bank. You have to have it open to the public, which is fine, and explore it and see how you can make the numbers work.
So one of our members actually is about to start a food bank, and as they were describing it, I heard them say something like, "This is only for staff at a certain level. So people that are paid at higher levels can't use it." Do you guys have
it's an unwritten rule that staff at a higher financial bracket do not use the store. We didn't say that because we didn't want it to look like charity. We didn't want it to look like entitlement. We didn't want it to look like a class system. But I mean, obviously, people in the C-suite and key people, supervisory people, do not use the store. But we don't talk about it that way because it just happens. As it should.
Sort of an unspoken rule.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. Every time I say to you guys, let's talk about the store. The grocery store is so cool. You remind me there are other benefits too at Leonard Florence. Want to talk about that a little bit? The vacation benefits?
So we have a vacation benefit that after you're here for 3 years, we will take your family, whatever your family unit is. There's a place, and I think they have them throughout the country, I believe, called Great Wolf Lodge. And Great Wolf Lodge is a indoor water park that adults and especially children love. And we worked out something with the Great Wolf Lodge folks that in slow times, when they're slow, they give us a very, very good discount, a good rate, and we can send the staff and their children on a 2-night vacation, give them $500 spending money, and it doesn't cost them anything. And that has been tremendously popular and makes everyone feel good. For those who do not want a water park or who don't have children, we will send them to the local casino, which is a beautiful casino.
5-star resort.
5-star resort, overnight, $500 spending money. And that's been very popular also. But again, we are able to do this because we're not spending the money on agency help and on turnover. It's really very basic.
It does. It's almost Zen, isn't it? It's so simple, right? If you put your money in the right place,
Right.
You've got the right words and you've got your heart in the right place, and you are following along with your actions and with your investments, with your money. I mean, I'm hearing the reason it is hard work, but the reason people stay is because of the teamwork. And by the way, we spice it up. The icing on the cake is really great benefits that we are taken care of and we are loved as staff in the same way that we are expected to love each other and to love and work with residents. It all
There's
makes
there's an expression that something like people may forget what you said, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel.
Maya Angelou.
And you know, as CEO, as COO, we would never ever walk by a staff person and not talk and say hello, how are you? I get into the elevator, no matter who's in that elevator with me, they'll say, "Hi, Mr. B, how are you?" And you talk with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's genuine. It's not that we do it because we're trying to get them to stay. We do it because we truly value them. And
I think knowing one of the staff, knowing the names of the staff that work in your building, and is ever so important, Ruth. I mean, I've had people say to me afterwards, "Oh, you remembered my name," or those things are important to people each and every day. You're seeing them as a person.
I remember when I was an orderly in the hospital, and I'd be in a room with a nurse, and a doctor would walk into the room. He'd say hello to the nurse and not even look at me.
You don't exist.
And like I did not exist. And I said to myself, that's something, no matter where my future takes me, I would never do that. Because how do you, I mean, and I never forgot that I was standing right next to the nurse, and the doctor came in and said, "Hi, Marion, how are you?" And got his coffee and walked out, and I was there. And I mean, that made me feel horrible that just because I was not a nurse. So we took, I never forgot that. And we'll go out of our way to talk to everyone because everyone is equal.
See me, hear me, notice me. Barry and Betsy know who I am. And I have seen this in action walking around there with you guys when I have visited, where not only saying hello, but how is your husband doing? Is he feeling any better? I know last week he was having whatever it is. You guys are all over it.
And it was much easier for Betsy and I when we started together. We worked together over 45 years when we had one building. And now, nursing homes have to grow. We understand if we didn't grow, we probably wouldn't be in business anymore. So now that we have, 1,800 employees, it's much more challenging, but, we do the best we can to get to know as many people as we can, and they know us. And we also work very closely with HR to let HR know our philosophy, that HR has to be a little bit gray. It can't always be black and white, that different circumstances people have. We're always very sensitive. When we're doing in-services on patient abuse, you have no idea who's being abused himself when they go home. So we have to be very sensitive to the staff on every level of whatever we're doing. You talk about cell phones. Yes, you cannot use your cell phones. It's a bad practice. But let's put it this way: we don't allow cell phone use. It doesn't look right in front of the staff, in front of people. But if I were working a day shift and I needed to know that at 3 o'clock or 2:30, my little kids got into the house okay, believe me, I would slip into the bathroom and quickly call my kids. And no one's going to get fired for doing that, because we understand. I would do it. I mean, I could not be doing my job here not knowing if the kids got off the bus okay and got in okay until I got home. And I mean, you have to be realistic. You have to put yourself in their spot many times. And it's worked for us. It's worked.
I am hearing Jewish values all woven throughout. We talk about Tikkun Olam, healing the world. We talk about building community and taking care of each other and taking care of community. And it is so in the DNA at Leonard Florence, and it's so obvious when you guys talk about it. So one last question, I have never asked you guys this question, but you mentioned that you guys have been working together for 45 years. You finish each other's sentences. Not everybody, very few people, in fact, are that lucky. What's the secret to your success in your partnership?
I met Betsy through my wife.
That's right.
So when I first started 50 years ago, we had one small little nursing home. And it was, a building that should be torn down, which we did tear it down. And Betsy is a nurse. My wife was a nurse. They were working at the local hospital in home care. And whenever I would see something that wasn't right, like a nurse pouring meds for another nurse, and I would say to myself, I'm not a nurse, but I don't think this is right. And I'd call my wife to ask her, and many times Betsy would answer the phone. I'd say, well, Betsy, you can answer the question. And she'd say, of course I can't do that, or different things. And I know that when I decided that we were going to build a new nursing home, my wife said to me, if you want to have the best organization you can have, you need to hire Betsy, because there's no one better than her. And I did. And we've been personal friends ever since, and colleagues ever since. And we are on the same page. I mean, we can finish each other's sentences because what you see is what you get. We're here to do what we need to do. And it's been a wonderful marriage.
I was just going to say, it's a work marriage that's
It's a work marriage.
both of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you figured out how to disagree and still get along?
I save that for when I get home with my wife.
Aha.
It's
And whatever
amazing.
Betsy says, you just
Pretty
do
much
whatever
every
Betsy
time.
says.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate that we, again, our basic values and the way we see the world is very similar. And that has been a strength for both of us moving forward. And relationships, and it is all about relationships in life. We all know that. It's extremely important to both Barry and me. And I think that has guided us on the right road.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And
And we're
actually,
just hoping God gives us another 15, 20 years to keep working.
absolutely.
We have no intention of retiring.
Excellent.
No
Good.
plans to retire.
Because we need you and we need what you guys do. Well, Betsy, I really liked that actually as the last word too. It's all about the relationships and it goes in every direction, not just the two of you, but with staff, with each other, with residents, and in all directions. So thank you both so much. This has been a great conversation. I love turning people on to Leonard Florence and the magic that you guys are doing there every day along with your team. So thank you.
And if any of your listeners are ever in the Boston area, we're right over the bridge. Give us a call and we'd be more than happy to show you the store, show you some of the technology or anything you'd like to see.
You are so generous.
Yeah.
And I know you really mean that. And if
Yeah.
folks want to get in touch with me, I am at rkatz@ajas.org. Happy to follow up on any of this. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, for the
Thank you.
opportunity to talk with you again.